Hey everybody, welcome to Survival Superhero. If you're looking for more information about the Harvest Right Home Freeze Dryer, you are in the right place. We're about to tell you everything you need to know to make an informed decision about whether or not the Harvest Right Home Freeze Dryer is a good fit for you and your home. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so we can help you with survival and emergency planning regularly. Now let's get straight into the video. If you're thinking about getting a home freeze dryer, you have probably heard of Harvest Right. Harvest Right is pretty much the only company selling a freeze dryer for use in your own home. Commercial freeze dryer units used by large companies cost upwards of $10,000. But Harvest Right lets you have the same technology in a smaller capacity in your own home for as little as $2,200. Keep watching to learn how you can freeze your favorite foods and store them for up to 20 years with the Harvest Right Home Freeze Dryer. A home freeze dryer is one of the best ways you can prepare for an emergency food situation. Freeze-dried food is a common staple in nearly every list of emergency food supplies, bug-out bags, bug-in bags, freak-out kits, and general emergency preparedness all around. The Harvest Right freeze dryer's goal is to make freeze-drying your own food at home easy and fun. There's three things that make food go bad: heat, water, and oxygen. The goal of freeze drying is to remove all three of these things. Doing this preserves the nutritional content and the taste. When you seal it inside a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber, you can store this food for up to 25 years. All you have to do to rehydrate the food is pour warm water on it, and it's as good as it was on day one. Freeze drying is a great way to store food for both short-term and long-term. You can freeze dry most of your favorite foods with the Harvest Right freeze dryer in your own home. You can freeze dry things like fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy, and even desserts. You can even freeze dry full meals. In fact, most food can be freeze dried in the Harvest Right freeze dryer, but oily foods don't work. So you can't freeze dry things like peanut butter, regular butter, honey, jam, syrup, or 100% pure chocolate. Another reason you might want to freeze dry your own food at home is because buying freeze dried food from the store is super expensive and can often have too much sodium and a lot of extra preservatives added to it that your body does not need in a survival situation. There's also a limited amount of different flavors to choose from with store-bought freeze-dried food, and it's pretty likely you will buy some freeze-dried food from the store that you will not like because a lot of it tastes pretty bad. If you freeze-dry your own food at home, you can freeze-dry whatever you want to pretty much. How does it work? Here's what it looks like freeze-drying scalloped potatoes and ham, raspberries, apples, and ice cream sandwiches. First, you turn on the freeze dryer to let it warm up, or in this case, cold up. Put the scalloped potatoes on the Harvest Right freeze dryer tray. Slice up the ham into slices under 1/2 inch thick and place them on another tray. For the raspberries, just pour them on the tray. Don't fill it up any higher than the edge of the tray. For the apples, slice them up with an apple slicer, dunk in lemon water, and put them on the other half of the same tray with the raspberries. Finally, for the ice cream sandwiches, cut a slit into the top of the cellophane and let the water escape the pouch. Then set each ice cream sandwich on the tray. Slide the trays into the Harvest Right freeze dryer unit, put the door pad in place, close the door, and turn the handle. That is it. The freeze dryer freezes the food to around 45 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Then a vacuum pump turns on inside the unit and creates a vacuum inside the chamber. The freeze dryer then gradually warms up the food, and the water inside the food sublimates off of the food and is turned into a gas. Then the food dries. The whole process takes around 24 hours to complete. When it's finished, it beeps to let you know it's done. And here's what the food looks like the next day. It looks the exact same as when it went into the freeze dryer, and also tastes the exact same. You can even eat it right out of the unit. So now you package it up and store it. Now let's talk about oil pumps. So the process of freeze drying leaves behind some oil, so you'll have to change this oil once in a while. But it doesn't take very long, only about 10 minutes or less. You will have to change the oil every 4 to 5 batches with the standard pump, or every 20 to 25 batches with the Premier oil pump. You can also buy an oil-free vacuum pump that you will not have to change the oil on ever. This is an extra upgrade you can add when you purchase your Harvest Right freeze dryer unit. You can also add it to your current Harvest Right freeze dryer unit if you already have one. Harvest Right will give you an adapter for free. Just contact them at 1-800-700-5508. What about sizes and prices? So there's 3 sizes of home units from Harvest Right: small, medium, and large. The larger the unit, the more food you can freeze dry per batch and per year. Each unit comes with the standard oil pump, but you can upgrade to the Premier pump or the oil-free pump for an extra cost. The small unit will do 4 to 7 pounds of fresh food per batch and yield around 840 pounds of fresh food annually. In terms of freeze-dried food, that's 1 to 1.5 gallons of freeze-dried food per batch and around 195 gallons of freeze-dried food produced annually. The small unit costs $2,195 and comes with the standard oil pump, which you have to change the oil on every 4 to 5 batches. You can upgrade to the Premier pump for an extra $295, which you have to change every 20 to 25 batches. Or you can get the oil-free pump, which you don't ever need to change the oil on, for a total of $3,690. The medium unit will do 7 to 10 pounds of fresh food per batch and yield around 1,450 pounds of fresh food annually. In terms of freeze-dried food, that's 1.5 to 2.5 gallons of freeze-dried food per batch and around 312 gallons of freeze-dried food produced annually. The medium unit costs $2,695 and comes with the standard oil pump, which again you have to change the oil on every 4 to 5 batches. And just like the others, you can upgrade to the Premier pump for an extra $295, which you're going to have to change every 20 to 25 batches. Or you can just get the oil-free pump, which you do not ever need to change, for a total of $4,190. The large unit will do 12 to 16 pounds of fresh food per batch and yield around 2,500 pounds of fresh food annually. In terms of freeze-dried food, that's 2 to 3.5 gallons of freeze-dried food per batch and around 546 gallons of freeze-dried food produced annually. The large unit costs $3,395 and comes with the standard oil pump, which you have to change every 4 to 5 batches. You can upgrade this to the Premier pump for an extra $295, which you're going to have to change every 20 to 25 batches. Or you can get the oil-free pump, which you will not need to change, for a total of $4,890. Check the description down below for a link to read more about the differences between the different types of units. And now it's time for some freeze drying tips. It is a great idea to buy food in large quantities when it goes on sale and then freeze dry that food and store it. Remember, you can store it up to 25 years. Keep the trays clean with some parchment paper or silicone mats in the bottom. Be sure to make a note on the label for any uncooked meats, eggs, or fish. The freeze drying process will not kill bacteria. Feel free to pour liquids like soap, milk, or raw eggs directly onto the trays. You won't hurt them. If you're freeze drying potatoes, make sure you blanch them before you freeze dry them. If you don't blanch them, they will oxidize and turn black. If you're freeze drying really small food items like small grapes or baby carrots, put a handful of them between 2 lids. Slice between the 2 lids with a bread knife for just the right size slices. If you're freeze drying fruits or vegetables, make sure you peel or half them before you freeze dry them. If you do leave the skin on, cut it in half and put the skin side facing down onto the tray. It's good to mention that the time it takes to freeze dry food is not the same every time. Some foods take longer to process than others, so it could take from 24 hours up to 48 hours for your food to finish freeze drying. Alright guys, hopefully this information helps you make an informed decision about the Harvest Right Home freeze dryer. If you're interested in discovering more about the Harvest Right, then be sure to click the first link down in the description below. And if you are considering purchasing the Harvest Right, please click the first link in the description. That helps us to keep this channel going strong. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos helping you with survival and emergency preparedness. Check out this video where we show you how to get 30 days of freeze-dried prepper food for $200. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.